radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Well. Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. Yeah. How you doing? Today's Tuesday, October 26th, 2021. 298 days into the new year. Only 67 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of nowhere. A total undisclosed location. But it is beautiful. I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and UnX. The UnX Network premiering this Sunday, Halloween night. Race Hobbs. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? Happy Halloween. Yeah, man, Halloween. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. And tonight, we have very special guests because it is our Halloween Ghost Stories Spooktacular tonight with Jim Harold. Yeah, man. Jim Harold. Who is the most in-demand... Who is the most in-demand voice in Halloween? I mean, it's Jim Harold. Jim Harold. But we got him tonight. We got Jim tonight. He's going to be with us here at the bottom of the hour. It's going to be great. And then tomorrow night, Shaw, the Loon Witch, our 8th annual Shaw Halloween special event. And tomorrow night, I say it every year, get ready. Hit redial on that phone. The phones are going to be jammed up, and she is going to be doing readings all night long. And I know how many of you out there have been with us every single year. How many of you have had your readings done? How many of you have called me, texted me, emailed me? Dude, Shaw was right. It's just... She's amazing. She's amazing. So tomorrow night, it is Shaw the Loon Witch. And, Halloween week and leading up to Halloween, it's just one of my favorite times of the year. And it is getting cold. Yeah, it's getting cold. The last 2 days, I've been coffee and hot chocolate. Yes, sir. All right, and had a great call today with River Moon Coffee. Juanita and Jeff, they've got some exciting stuff going down, and we'll keep you posted. But some exciting stuff coming from River Moon Coffee. All right, there you go. It is Sunday night, the launch of UnX, the UnX Network. And, ZZ Top. I think is it Fandango? Heard it on the X? That's That's what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to be at the Starworks USA UFOs All the Above and Beyond conference coming up this November 12th through the 14th in Laughlin, Nevada. I want you to get your tickets, get your hotel rooms, get ready. It is at the Aquarius Hotel and Casino. So this is what's so cool. You've got a UFO conference going on upstairs. Downstairs is a casino full of restaurants. There is not a better weekend that you can have. It is totally cool. It is in Laughlin, right there on the river. Just go over to StarWorksUSA.com for tickets and info and your hotel information. It's coming down. It's 2 weeks away. Unbelievable. It is going to be great. Jacques Vallée, Paul Hynek, Grant Cameron, Colin Andrews, Jaime Maussan, 10 other great speakers. Just come and hang out with us. All right? Leave your home. Leave your home. Come out and hang out with us in Laughlin, Nevada. It's going to be great. All right, follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Yeah, follow me right there at JChurchRadio. The Sandbox on Twitter is hashtag F2B. We don't bite. Come and hang out with the Fadernauts right there. And, we've got chat rooms open. And also, the UnX Network is going to be a really cool interactive platform for all of the shows over there, including Fade to Black. And so head over to unxnetwork.com. And again, I'll have everything up. Everything will be out there in social media. You will know what to do. But wow, what an amazing lineup of shows. Race Hobbs has got it together. And it's going to be great. Okay, so that's all happening this Wednesday or this Sunday night. And tomorrow night, Thursday night, Race Hobbs is going to be with us here on Fade to Black for Fader Night. And now, supposedly, just to announce UnX Network, he's going to end up taking calls. He's going to end up helping me with the phones. It's Fader Night. It's Race Hobbs. The pipes, Race Hobbs. All right, let's get to the breaking news. A powerful storm that rolled through California and Northern California, drenching the West Coast with record-breaking rainfall and hurricane-force winds, triggered landslides. It flooded roads. It left 2 people dead in Washington State. It also resurrected one of California's most iconic natural features, Yosemite Falls. That's right. Before a bomb cyclone slammed into the state this past Sunday, dropping nearly a foot of rain in some parts of the region, strained by a climate change-fueled mega drought, the 2,425-foot falls had all but vanished. But it often happens in the fall, but this seemed a lot more permanent. But by Monday, more than 6 inches of rain had fallen across Yosemite Valley in 36 hours. All of this announced on Facebook, and it's great, amazing video. And the falls roared back to life. There you go. I wonder what's happening with all the aquifers under California, right? Did they get replenished too as well? Here in Southern California, we got a little drizzle of rain yesterday. Happened in the afternoon. It rained for about an hour, maybe a little longer, maybe 2 hours. All right. Well, check this out. News out of Iran. A cyber attack disrupted the sale of heavily subsidized gasoline in Iran today. That's right. All of this according to their state media, causing long lines at the gas stations across the country weeks before the anniversary of the 2019 street protests that followed fuel price hikes. Iran says it's on high alert for online assaults, which it has blamed, of course, on the United States and Israel. Iran's oil ministry said that only sales with smart cars used for cheaper rationed gasoline were disrupted, and clients could still buy fuel at really high rates. All right. Well, NASA's helicopter Ingenuity has successfully completed its 14th test flight All of this going down on the red planet, demonstrating its ability to fly in summer weather conditions on Mars. Wow. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I wonder what the next, I need to get a plane or a bigger, we need, like a quadcopter, an octocopter, just a big, that's what we need on Mars. That's what we need. Well, this happened 2 years ago in April. That strange radio signal thought to be a possible sign of alien intelligence in a nearby star system. Well, it was likely created by a broken piece of human technology. That's right. Back on April 29th, 2019, astronomers detected a signal beaming towards Earth, and it seemed it was coming from Proxima Centauri, the nearest star system to our sun, at about 4.2 light years away, and home to at least one potentially habitable planet. Because the signal fell in a narrow band of 982 megahertz radio waves that are rarely made by human aircraft or satellites, researchers interpreted it as alien technology. Fair enough. However, the signal, which lasted for about 5 hours, never reappeared during subsequent scans of Proxima Centauri. The reason, according to two new studies published this past October 25th in the journal Astronomy, it's likely because the signal wasn't come from Proxima Centauri at all. It was human-made radio interference from computers right here on Earth, from a piece of malfunctioning electronic equipment that either got shut down or is being repaired. At least that's the story, and they're trying to stick to it. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, Seth MacFarlane. Seth MacFarlane today is 47, and I've got one message to Seth. What happened to Orville? It was like the best TV show ever. Well, not quite as good as Rick and Morty, but it was really great. It's disappeared. It's been 2.5 years. I mean, I need me some Orville, Seth. And rumor has it that they're actually working on it. Well, we'll see. John Heater today is 43. Napoleon Dynamite. That's right. Carrie Elwes today is 58, the Princess Bride. The dreaded pirate Roberts, or whatever his name was. Oh, man. Bass and funk god Bootsy Collins today is 70 years old. Rita Wilson today is 65. Now, I know what you're thinking. Tom Hanks' wife. Yeah. But she was amazing in That Thing You Do, also starring Tom Hanks, written by Tom Hanks, but directed by Tom Hanks, performed by Tom Hanks. And but That Thing You Do is an amazing movie, and Rita Wilson just stole the show. Happy birthday, Rita Wilson. Today, 65 years old. And Natalie Merchant today is 58. Our dead guy's birthday is Al Casey. Al Casey, 1936 to 2006, died at the age of 69. Al, well, first off, was a great guitar player, but Al probably played guitar on more albums than anybody else in the history of music. He was a member of the Wrecking Crew, and he worked for, are you ready? The Beach Boys, Phil Spector, Elvis Presley, Glenn Campbell, The Association, The Monkees, Johnny Cash, Eddie Arnold, Simon and Garfunkel, The Fifth Dimension, Harry Nilsson, The Partridge Family, Frank and Nancy Sinatra. Is that enough? There's more. During this time, he also worked for 3 years as a member of the band on The Dean Martin Show. Incredible. Great guitar player. Rockabilly genius. I mean, he played on so many, he played on everything. The Wrecking Crew, of course, right? That played on everything. But he had the sound. He was absolutely incredible. He died on September 17th in 2006 in Phoenix, Arizona. Happy birthday, Al Casey. On this day in history, 1881, it went down. The Earp brothers face off against the Clanton-McClary gang in the legendary shootout at the OK Corral in Tombstone, Arizona. 1881. It wasn't that long ago. Think about what's going down in the West. Man, 1881. Seems like yesterday. All right. Is that Bootsy Collins? Is that Triscale? Yeah. Bootsy Collins. You guys see that new Rick James documentary? Have you guys seen the new Rick James documentary? Came out a couple months ago, and wow. And I thought I knew everything about Rick James. I really did. Man. Bootsy's really good in that. Okay, all right. Where am I at? Oh, Fader Fact. Okay, now I just said happy birthday to Carrie Elwes, right? And the dreaded pirate, what was his name in the Princess Bride? Anyway, Carrie Elwes. Now, his ancestor, like his great-great-grandfather, John Elwes. I'm not making this up. This is a Fader fact. This is vetted. Carrie Elwes' ancestor, John Elwes, was the inspiration for the character of Ebenezer Scrooge in Charles Dickens' famous novel, A Christmas Carol. And that is your Fader fact. Don't ask me how I get this stuff. Don't ask me. This is me. I extrapolate. I find it. I chase it down. I vet it. I bring it to you as a Fader fact. And if I write a book, maybe I'll just do Fader facts, and I don't have to write anything. I can just copy and paste, and I don't have to be a genius. Yeah, I don't have to be a writer. Tonight, very special guest. It's Halloween Ghost Stories night with Jim Harold, and it's going to be great, so just stay right there. Tomorrow night is our annual Halloween special with Shah the Loon Witch. Tomorrow is our 8th. And I looked it up. Last year was our 7th, and I went back and I thought, man, I guess 8 years with Shah the Loon Witch, and that's going down tomorrow night. It's your calls. And you've heard the shows in the past. She does 3 card readings back to back. And I think one year we did over 100. I think we did that a couple of times. Kind of slowed it down a bit and got it down to about 80. So we'll see what happens tomorrow night with Shah the Loon Witch. Thursday night, Race Hobbs is going to join me right here for Fader Night, announcing the UnX Network. We're going to go down the full lineup. Maybe I'll have a special guest or two from the UnX Network. The premiere and the party is Sunday night, Halloween night. All right. Now, I'm going to be on first Halloween night, and I think everything kicks off. I'll let Race. Plans may have changed. But I'm going to go first because I'm West Coast, and I've got to hand out candy. So I've got to get in, get out, and then and go and sit on my front porch and give out candy because it is Halloween. All right. And that takes care of that. Let's talk for a bit. I love Halloween. Oh, I also love my River Moon coffee. I do. It's getting cold outside. So in my mind, my mental madness that goes on up here, I thought, you need to add hot chocolate. Make your own mocha. Add the hot chocolate, little whipped cream. Make my own mocha, and then it's a fall coffee. It's a fall. It's the turning of the leaves, Halloween. It's getting cold outside. Brew. And it makes sense. Thawing me out. All right. Drew just says, Jimmy, email me a mailing address. I want to gift you a set of my books. I will do that, Drew. Check your email after the show. Rivermoon Coffee, rivermoonwellness.com. Okay. I love Halloween. And when you have, two daughters, same age, and even before that, one of my things as a new parent is I couldn't wait for my daughter Nicole to be old enough to walk, because the second she could walk, I was getting her in a Halloween costume and I'm taking her trick-or-treating. I mean, that I cannot tell you. Christmas trees, yes, Santa Claus, Charlie Brown Christmas, all of that, those are all plans, but trick-or-treating with the kids, right? And wow, I mean, my fondest memories are trick-or-treating with my friends and figuring things out. Well, absolutely. So fast forward a few years, and I moved to Venice Beach, and this is like 2005, and I'm down there and doing my thing. Okay. All right. A text from Jim Harold. He's such a perfectionist, such a professional. And so we moved down to Venice Beach, and it's now Halloween. This is 2005. So this is 15, 16 years ago. And our daughters, Nicole and Deanna, are like 7 years old, third grade, and, tiny. And so we head out trick-or-treating in Venice. And I read this stuff in the local newspaper and heard about this like 2-block stretch of Venice Beach where everybody there works in the film industry, special effects and this and that, and they have this competition of who's got the best Halloween house and best Halloween decorations and things. And so we go through and we're doing all of this, and it's great. From house to house, it just got better and better, and it was over the top. Some of the things in the haunted houses, the visual effects and everything. And so we get down and we go down one side of the street and getting ready to make a U-turn and come back. It's like 2 blocks. There's like 10,000 people out there. It was crazy. And I hear this crowd yelling, like loud, like rock concert stuff. I'm like, what's going on? So got the girls and we make the U-turn and I look, boom, there's this giant guillotine. It's got to be 30 feet tall. And it's up on this thing and scaffolding and lights and stuff. And it's a guillotine, man, with the thing. And I'm standing there and I've got my daughters. I'm holding both of their hands. And they bring up this lady, and they've got the executioner dude, and he's in black, and he's got a big axe and stuff, and he puts this lady into the guillotine and straps her in, and she's screaming in her hands, and I'm like, okay, all right, got my 2 daughters, and this frigging blade comes down, whap, and her head flies off, blood goes everywhere. And my daughters scream, ah! And I was like, holy crap. And I backed up and I thought, man, what are you doing? These are family. This is crazy. And my daughters are like, we're crying. And we walk away, and it was the most horrific thing I have ever seen, man. The heads were being lopped off. And I don't know how they did it. I was standing right there. I'm an adult and I'm watching, and it was perfect. This head came flying off, and I don't know how they did it. And my daughters, I mean, they were traumatized. And that's it, man. We booked. I don't even think, and this is my memory, I think we bailed on trick-or-treating. The mood was off. The mood was off. Never seen anything like it. And that's kicking off Halloween Ghost Stories Night with Jim Harold. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I love Halloween, but I will never forget. And if there's anybody listening in Venice Beach, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And 15 years ago, about that guillotine. There's no way they brought that back for a return run. No, it was nuts. It was nuts. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Jim Harold is here. It's Halloween Ghost Stories Night. And I just can't wait for this. It's going to be perfect. And then tomorrow night, Shaw the Loon Witch is here for our 8th annual Halloween special event. Shaw is going to be giving your readings all night long. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network, KJCR, and as of Sunday night, the UnX Network. That's right. Tonight, it's Halloween Ghost Stories Night. Happy Halloween, everybody. I'll be right back with our guest, Jim Harold. Stay with us.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net.
Introducing the Game Changer blend from Rivermoon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all Rivermoon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2B Blend for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at getthet.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to getthet.com. That's getthet.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. Getthet.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years, and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's getthet.com. Getthet.com. The tea that makes you go.
Hello, Fadernauts. Ray Hobbs here, inviting all of you to join us for the launch of a brand new broadcasting platform called the UnX Network. Tune in Halloween night as we go live on the X streams for the first time to reveal our plans for this brand new and exciting platform. If you have an interest in the paranormal, UFOs, cryptids, ghosts, hidden histories, and alternative research, breakthrough technology, you will want to make the X your brand new home. Our programs will feature many familiar faces and even more new ones. And our listeners can interact and help investigative journalists, authors, researchers, and hosts who work diligently in the fight against the ideological divide that exists in media today. This platform is for critical thinkers seeking the alternatives to mainstream thought. So join us October the 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern at unxnetwork.com as we kick off the mothership, the UnX Network, explaining the unexplained.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Happy Halloween, everybody. It's one of my favorite times of the year. And tomorrow night, Shaw the Loon Witch is here, our 8th annual Halloween special with Shaw the Loon Witch. And that is tomorrow night. And Thursday night is Fader night, but we're going to have Ray Hobbs here helping me out to announce the UnX Network that is kicking off October 31st on Halloween night. All right, so that's it. But tonight, it's Halloween Ghost Stories with Jim Harold. And he is, of course, the host of the Paranormal Podcast and Jim Harold's Campfire. And this summer, he will celebrate his 16th anniversary. No, he just celebrated his 16th anniversary of podcasting on The Unknown. And before becoming a full-time podcaster back in 2012, he worked on the business side of media for over 15 years. He has written a popular series of 5 Campfire books featuring the best tales of the unknown from his podcast, True Ghost Stories, the Jim Harold's Campfire 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all Kindle #1 Supernatural Best Sellers. His programs have been downloaded over 50 million times. The Paranormal Podcast and Jim Harold's Campfire are among the top 1% of downloaded podcasts on the industry's largest podcast host, Libsyn. And I would like to welcome back to Fade to Black, Jim Harold. Jim, good evening, man. Hold on. I'm going to do that again. I hit the wrong button. Oh. Jim, good evening, man.
Take 2. Jimmy, good evening. Happy Halloween to you and all the Fadernauts.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Jim. And, it goes without saying, this time of year, you've got to be in one of the most in-demand guests on different shows around the country. And I know you had a very busy day, but you're here with us tonight. And the logistics of making sure that we were on the air in between all of your other guesting on other shows, but we pulled it off and you're here. Thank you so much, my friend.
Oh, thank you. And I'm sorry I was a pain. It just seemed like today was like I was writing articles, and then out of the blue I got a request to be on this show, and out of the blue I get, you know what it is. It's the same thing for you. It's this time of the year. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's Halloween. And hey, I'm happy to be in demand, and I appreciate you extending a very kind invitation to spend some time with you and the Fadernauts.
Now, what is it? Halloween is one of my, I just look forward to it. It's right there. I don't know, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Halloween. I mean, it's like a tie for me. What is it about Halloween that we just have such a great time?
Well, I think, part of it's like a roller coaster. You love to get scared, but then it's safe. It's like watching a horror movie or listening to a good ghost story or a story of the supernatural. And then, I've been thinking about this lately because this has come up. I've had discussions with people about this. I also think why it's so popular with adults, especially now, because, we're about the same age, Jimmy, and it wasn't, when we were kids, it was like a kid's holiday, right? For the most part. And now it's become much more a kids and adults holiday. And I think that it's because it's a chance for us as adults to be kids again. We can have our parties and dress up in silly clothing. And then, so I think that's part of it. So we love to get scared, And then I also think the other piece of it, and this is a little going deep, a lot of Halloween is about death. And death is a very uncomfortable subject in our society. And it's an opportunity for us to kind of laugh at death and talk about death in a way that's acceptable, if you know what I'm saying.
In a weird way, I totally get it.
I think it's a combination of all those three. That's at least my thoughts.
I want to ask you, I think all of us as adults, we look back at previous Halloweens and we think of our favorite Halloween costume that we've ever done. When you look back, what's the one standout Halloween costume that you remember? What's the one that stands out?
Well, actually, to be honest with you, the best Halloween costume I ever did was last year. I was it. I was Pennywise. And my wife did this remarkable job. In one of the breaks, I'll find a screenshot for you and send it. Did a remarkable job, and we did a 3-hour live stream, and we have our virtual Halloween party every year, which we're having this weekend at 8 o'clock Eastern, everybody, on my YouTube channel. But I love it, and I think I enjoy it more now. I love interacting with the audience and seeing how they dress up and stuff. But as a kid, actually I have a pet peeve as a kid, Jimmy. These kids today, they have all these great costumes. You know what I had? My mom would go to the drugstore. We called it a drugstore back then. And they would buy one of those crappy costumes with the elastic thing and the cutout eyes, the plastic thing you put on your face, and it breaks after like the second house you're trick-or-treating.
Right.
They're slobbering in it. And then here was the thing that really teed me off as a kid, Jimmy. You'd be Superman, right? Now, it wouldn't be back in the day. I'm talking about the 70s. Back in the day, you'd have this, and it wouldn't be Superman, got the mask, and then you've got the S on your chest. No. It would say Superman with a picture of Superman on it. Now, what's up with that? Does Superman go around with a costume that has Superman written on it and a picture of Superman? I don't think so. That always teed me off. That made me mad as a kid. I'm still angry. I have issues.
Now, so how many brothers and sisters did you have?
I have one.
So mom and dad really don't have an excuse. See, I had 5 brothers and sisters, so we got the 99-cent Halloween costume, right?
Yeah.
And mom had to buy a bunch of them. But there's nothing.
It was just pure laziness. But back in the day, they got a cigarette. They're like,
yeah, right.
Hey, you mask kid, go get some candy.
And I think about it now when obviously we live in a different world, and I'm taking my daughters trick-or-treating. They weren't going by themselves.
Right, same here.
And when we were kids, there's just no way, right? You probably, as an adult, as a parent, you would get arrested today if your kids were out trick-or-treating and somebody found out without you supervising. But when we were kids, it was go time, right? That was it. And I just think about that, staying out that late, cold, freezing, one more house, one more block, one more house. And it was the best time ever.
Yeah, and it was adventurous. What's here? And you never knew what you were going to get. You get the houses that give you like I don't know, like those really hard taffy things that you can't chew. But then you get somebody give the full-size candy bars. So
they got the full-size candy bars. We're going to go around the block, and we're going to go back.
Exactly.
And then trading candy when you get home, right? Trading candy.
Yep.
And I would always find somebody that liked Milky Way. I did Snickers. I was a Snickers guy. Reese's peanut butter cups, but I would give away those Milky Ways. And now,
if you hate Milky Ways, you must really hate Three Musketeers.
I never. They're the same candy bar. No, I'm not a Three Musketeers guy, and I never even faked it. I just didn't dig them. No, I would give those away. I was just thinking, my favorite Halloween costume was this is like 20. You remember the Menendez brothers?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Me and my best friend Rob, we went as the Menendez brothers to this Halloween party.
Oh my!
And we did the full thing. We had Izod sweaters, right? Mm-hmm. Tennis rackets. Both of us had tennis rackets, and a couple of fake guns, and blood all over our bodies.
Oh,
and we had fake money like coming out of the necks of the shirt. And but at the time, because the trial was on TV and everything, we were the hit of the party, and everybody got it. We just walked in, and it was. And I think about all the time we put into those costumes and things, but it was really, really fun, and we were the Menendez brothers. Well, okay, so I wanted to share this. I told a little story on the show tonight, and it was trick-or-treating with my daughters, and we were in Venice Beach and California, and there was this street, it was a couple of blocks long, where they had this big contest, the best house, the best Halloween house, and many of these houses, the owners were in the film industry, special effects and things and stuff. And at the end of the street, and I'm not making this up, this is a true story. So we go down, there's like 10,000 people. When I say 10,000, and in this 2-block stretch, it was packed. And so we get down and we're starting to make the U-turn to come back. And I hear this loud roaring coming from the end of the street. And I thought, what's going on? I see all the people. And we around the corner, and there's like this 30-foot guillotine. Ginormous. And it's on this platform scaffolding like a rock concert stage, and this guillotine. I had this big, tall, buff executioner with, dressed in black with the double-bladed axe, and he's bringing up this lady. She was blonde and with a like a princess gown on, and she's screaming. And they put her in the guillotine. They lock her down, flip the thing over. And I got my daughters, and my daughters are 7 years old, both of them. I'm holding their hands, and I'm watching. This blade comes down, whap, and chops her head off. And her head rolls down and goes into this bucket, and this blood. And and my daughters scream and start crying. And it was the most unreal thing I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, oh, my God, that was amazing. But it's Halloween. What are you doing? Right? And my daughters lose it, man. And I was impressed. My daughters, they're 7. They think some lady just got her head chopped off. It was crazy. It was absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it could be a little too much. My daughters, I would always go with them trick-or-treating. I absolutely loved it. We just had a really neat Halloween thing happen in the last couple of weeks. In the Midwest here in Ohio, we have a park called Cedar Point.
It's of course.
It's like one of the great roller coaster parks in the world.
Yeah.
And they have this thing called Hollow Weekends. And we went on a Thursday night, and it wasn't that crowded. And they had like 7 different haunted houses. And they have these actors in full makeup, and they have what they call scare zones. So it's very dark and lit, and you'll be walking along, and all of a sudden somebody will come on you, and they're like, and they'll jump out. And there was one guy with he was doing like a skate thing, and sparks were flying up, and they scare the heck out, and they'll chase you. I mean, it was fantastic, and they did a great job. So if anybody's in the Midwest, they ever want to do something, Hollow Weekends at Cedar Point is a great time this time of year. And the thing is, one of my favorite things, we were in one of the haunted houses, and they put a spotlight in front of you. There's like a red spotlight and a blue spotlight, so you can't see what's coming. And I'm telling the girls, and my girls are adults. They're 18 and 22 at this point. And I'm like, I can't see in there. I can't see. And then one of these actors jumps out in full makeup right in front of me and says, but I can. And, but that was great. That was even at their advanced age and my advanced age, that's making memories. And that's a little more grotesque memory that you brought up. But I mean, that's so important, whether it's Halloween, Christmas, whatever holidays you celebrate. But Halloween is certainly a special thing and something that we've always cherished as a family. It's a heck of a lot of fun.
Now, I can only imagine what you've got prepared for us tonight. And whenever I tell a ghost story or tell a scary story, I don't have one that I've been told. Mine are my real experiences.
Right.
And it's and sometimes when I tell the stories, how do I say this right? I almost don't want it to be my experience. I'd rather say, a friend of mine had this happen to him. And instead of, because when it's my story, it's, but if it's somebody else's story, it's scarier.
Right.
Right. And are any of these stories tonight that you're going to share with us, are any of them personal experiences?
I can certainly share a couple things, but I don't really have spooky stories. I have near miss stories. I have actually, the scariest story I have is a story where I could have very well been killed, except for the intervention of some kind of guardian angel, I think. Would you want to hear that? I mean, that's spooky from the standpoint of I could have been murdered ruthlessly.
Oh, wait. Is this the gunshots through the front window?
Yeah, did I tell you this one?
Yeah. That was the last time. That's still a great story, though.
I couldn't remember if I told you. Sometimes it runs together. But the point being that I haven't had, incredibly spooky stories, scary stories happening. I've had poignant stuff. I've had that. But then it's made up for by the thousands of people I've talked to who have had spooky stories.
Well, let's get it started. I almost want to turn the lights down. I've already got sage burning over here. Yeah. I'm not kidding. I saged the studio. All right, let's get started. What's tale number one?
Honestly, this one just occurred to me. I haven't told this story for years. I've got it pulled up in front of me so I can recall bits and pieces of it. But you were talking about the Wrecking Crew, the great group of musicians who played on every pop record of the 60s. And you thought it was that band, but it was actually the vocalists and the Wrecking Crew playing all the instruments. All these guys that come to the studio and say, hey, we're going to play. It's like, no, you're not. You can sing a little bit, but these guys are going to play. So it made me think about another musician who I know when we get to the punchline, you will know this name. And I thought it was really kind of a cool, kind of eerie story. And this goes back, gosh, I think I was told this story about 10 years ago, but the storyteller is still a listener, and I believe her. This story goes back to the 1980s. She was working for a small independent record company in Pittsburgh called Bogus Records. And she's a graphic designer. And Carl, who was the owner of the company, was having a summer party for some of his employees and talent. And he brought them over, and they were playing games and so forth. And video games. He had real arcade games. So she said it was a cool party, at that time. And he said he took us to his office, and there was a whole wall full of headshots of people he'd worked with and managed and so forth. And after the tour, he went back down and did the party thing. This will come back into play. a little bit later in the story. So that night, she had a dream that she was in a local record store that was near her house. But unlike the store in real life, the front area had a lounge area with some couches and a coffee table. And she was in the store looking through some vinyl albums. And this little man comes up to her and he starts yelling at her in this dream, very agitated. "Where is it? Why isn't it done?" And she looks at him and says, I don't know what you're talking about. This is all in this dream. So this old man kind of huffs to the front of the store, and Sandy, that was our caller, follows him, and he's standing behind one of the couches and really giving her heck for, this project not being finished. So in the dream, he listens, and in a few minutes, Carl, the owner of the record company, and Phil, who also worked at the studio, they walk into the store, and they're standing behind the couch nearest the door. They exchange greetings, and this little man asks her something, and Carl and Phil turn to Sandy and say, "Who are you talking to?" And she looks at them if they're crazy and said, "I'm talking to Bull Moose. Don't you see him?" And they look at him and said, "Well, you're nuts. Bull Moose is dead." That name will probably ring a bell. Sandy realized she's seeing this Bull Moose person who she's never even heard of, and realizes in the middle of the dream, this is like a special dream. She said she lucid dreams a lot. So Phil and Carl in the dream ask Sandy what he was saying, and she says, "Bull Moose is very agitated and he wants you to finish it." And they respond with, "Finish what?" And she wasn't really sure, but Bull Moose kept saying, the record. "I want you to finish the record." So anyway, they go on and on in this dream. Bull Moose wants the record finished, and she's talking to the record owner of the record company saying, Bull Moose wants this finished. So that was the end of the dream. And the dream changes to Bull Moose sitting on a corner on a stool singing her a sweet little lullaby. The next morning, she wrote up everything that happened, some titles of some songs that came out in the dream and so forth. And she knew it was an important dream. And about 2 weeks later, she's working with this Phil guy on some poster designs at the record company. And she wanted to tell him the story. She couldn't remember it all. But as she went up the stairs with him, she realized on the wall of headshots, she said, there is a man and a little African-American gentleman, and I had with big glasses and a long face, and his name is Bull something. And she asked Phil, she said, "Is he dead?" And Phil said, "Yeah, why do you ask?" And Sandy said, "Because he wants you to know he wants that record done." And Phil was like, "What are you talking about?" So she related the dream, and this Phil said, "Do you remember the title of the songs that you said that needed to be finished?" And she told them, and when she did, Phil turned white as a sheet because he said, "Who told you that? How do you know that?" And it turned out that this Bull Moose came to her in a dream and gave her the names of the songs that were finished and wanted to know. And it turned out that there was really a record that had not been completed. And long story short, she talks to Carl, the owner, and he freaks out because, like, how did you know? So they end up finishing the record, and on the day they have the release party, she just felt this like sense of lift, like Bull Moose had kind of like was thanking her. It was Bull Moose Jackson. If you know the song Big 10-Inch Record, he's a very famous R&B guy. Mm-hmm. And this woman who had never heard of him in his life, or in her life, channeled him, basically. Channeled him through a dream and kind of pushed them, to finishing that record. It's really a remarkable story. I think it's pretty cool that someone who had never heard of this very significant figure just heard of him out of the blue, and he did communicate to her and got that record finished, probably because he kind of pushed from the other side.
Now, he wrote My Big 10-Inch by Aerosmith.
Yeah, there's that, but the original song is the Big 10-Inch Record by Bullnose Jackson. And then he had another, it was kind of this like double entendre genre that was very popular, I think, like in the 40s with R&B artists. I'd name some other titles, but I want to stay to broadcast standards. But but the thought being, I just think it's so cool. I believe, now I'd be interested in your thought on this. I'll turn the tables on you. What do you think about the dream state? I think that the veil is thinner and things can be revealed to us. Not that every dream is meaningful. You go to the grocery store and then the next night you dream that you're flying on a banana. But sometimes meaningful stuff comes through and the veil is thinner. What do you think?
I think if you pay attention, right? Pay attention and try to remember your dreams. There is something there, and you have to pay attention. So many, Jim, as you know, don't pay attention to the fantastical. They don't pay attention to these things, and life to them is just a 2D experience, and there isn't anything special. And then there are those out there that pay attention. And if you do, you will see your brain controls you. A lot of people think that we are in control of ourselves. Our brain is making decisions for us minutes in advance. You think it's free will, right? There are things that happen, and your brain is in control. So your brain is sending you messages. It's connected to the universe. And your dreams have meaning, and you just have to pay attention. I just pulled it up. Big 10-Inch Record, also known as Big 10-Inch Record of the Blues, is a rhythm and blues song written by Fred Wisemantel. It was first recorded in 1952 by Bullnose Jackson and released by King Records. The song was later covered by Aerosmith and released as part of their 1975 album Toys in the Attic. It has been rated as one of the best double entendre songs of all time. Yes. With that, let's take our break right here. Our guest tonight, Jim Harold. It's Halloween Ghost Stories. Happy Halloween, everybody. We'll be right back after this short break. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'm KJCR and the Game Changer Network, and as of Sunday night, the UNX Network. That's right, October 31st. Halloween night, UNX Network kicks off. We'll be right back. More with Jim Harold and his ghost stories after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today, and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30daysfree on ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Because you never got that pony you always wanted. Damn it. Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B blend for 15% off of your order today.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Sobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Happy Halloween, everybody. Tonight, Halloween Ghost Stories with Jim Harold, host of the Paranormal Podcast. And, you know, this is the thing. As we continue here, Jim, what do you prefer? Do you lean on the Paranormal Podcast, or are you more of a Campfire guy these days?
It's evolved. I used to be a Paranormal Podcast guy. But the more I get into it and the longer that I do it, I like the stories. Because it's always something that will surprise you. Like, we've both been doing this for quite a while. But people will come across with a story that'll kind of be mind-blowing. And it actually plays into the next story I was going to tell you. But one that kind of like makes you sit back and go, whoa. And a lot of times it's not a traditional ghost story. It's not kind of what you expect. It's just one of those things that happen, not when you're ghost hunting or anything necessarily, but you're going through the course of your daily life and something grabs you by the scruff of your neck and says, look at this. And it leaves you with a huge question mark many times. I could have an evening where I have just, kind of normal calls, a past loved one communicated with me. I think I have a ghost in my house. And then someone, zing, will hit you with one of those stories. And that's what keeps me coming back. But I would say between the two now, I still enjoy doing the Paranormal Podcast, which are straight interviews with authors and experts and things. Enjoy that very much. But I think Campfire, for me, is where it's at.
And it's so much fun. I not only listening to you, but I went through probably almost a couple of years where instead of listening to, and I do a lot of my research at night, listening to something on Egypt or physics or what have you, UFOs, I went through a weird thing of ghost stories at night. And I would just turn it on and close my eyes and get sucked into these stories. And I did it for a couple of years, every single night. And it really causes for some interesting dreams.
I guess so. It changes your perspective. I always have believed that there's more to life than, I often say what you can weigh on a scale, measure in a test tube. But it's really affirmed to me. It sounds good, but it's really true. There's a lot more going on. I mean, some of the stories you've shared with me about that one incident in Indianapolis, just the nature of reality. And one I'll share with you, if it's okay, is, let's put it this way, it's scarier to me in some ways than any ghost story. Now, this story was about a woman. It's a very short story. She went for a job interview or something to a downtown metropolitan area. And she walked out of her meeting, and all of a sudden she sees a construction worker come off of a high-rise building. They've got scaffolding and stuff. They're doing work. He falls off, and in front of her eyes, he apparently falls to his death. And there's this huge crash. And she I'm shaking my head and rubbing her eyes, kind of does this thing. And she looks, and there's nothing there. It's about 12 noon. Nobody's reacting. She looks, there's nobody there, but she's convinced that she just saw a construction worker plunge to their death. So she goes home. She's very upset. She's concerned. She's worried. She watches tries to have dinner. She watches the news at 6:00. There's no mention of it. So, it just bewilders her all evening. 11 o'clock news comes on. And remember, what she saw happened at noon. Tragic story from the downtown area today. A construction worker plunged to his death today at 3 p.m.
Oh.
Same place. Same building. She saw it 3 hours before it happened.
Oh. What do you do with that? Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. I mean, what do you do with that? What do you do with that? It's interesting that you tell the story tonight. A couple of months ago, I'm hosting a conference at the LAX Hilton in here in Los Angeles. Sure. And if you know the Hilton, it's 20, 30 stories tall. They have 2 towers. And in the middle of the 2 towers, I always get the same room each year out there that opens up. It has sliding glass doors, opens up to this courtyard. And I've got a table out there, and I'm able to sit out there, especially in the mornings, have my coffee, and plan out the day and get ready. So I'm sitting out there, and I hear some noise above my head, and it was strange, like clanking and stuff, and it's really quiet out there. And I just turn around and I look up, and there's dudes on the scaffolding cleaning the windows, way up too, like 15 stories up. And I looked at them for a minute, Jim, on everything that I love. I'm like, I don't want to be here for this. Right. I just don't. No, I'm not cool with this. And I walked in to my hotel room, shut the door, and I just didn't dig it. I didn't want to be that lady, right? And it was just something weird about it. And here's the lead into the story. This is the best part. When that morning I wake up, I open up the door and I walk, and there's caution tape stretched out. and around, and they were above my hotel room. And I thought, what's a construction? Police tape, the red, the yellow caution. And I just walk under it and go sit down. And it was there outside of my hotel room. And that's when I looked up and I looked down at the caution tape and I was like, this is a setup, right? They've already got the caution tape out. And no, I'm not doing this. And I walked back in and shut the sliding glass door. And I really not quite hyperventilated, but it just seemed like it was a setup for something very bad. And I didn't want to be that lady. But how did she change after that? Did you talk to her?
Well, this was actually the person that happened to her mother. So I did not ask that question. I did not probe in that direction. Maybe I should have. But the thing is that I don't think you could ever look at life the same.
No.
You could never look at and I'm sure you've had the same experience, Jimmy. When people have these experiences, something like this or something with a UFO or something with a ghost, they say universally, I know what I saw. And it really changes your life because it basically wipes away that whole, well, there's nothing to any of this stuff because because you've experienced it. And, even skeptics, they'll say, well, I don't believe in this stuff. But this one time this happened. And I think that having that personal experience, positive or negative, is really life-changing. And I think that's why a show like Campfire is pretty powerful and other shows that do the same thing, because these are really life-changing events for the people who experience them.
I want to get to the next story, but, the premonition thing, I think there's something to it. I know that there is, and I was driving near my home in Burbank. This was a couple of years ago, and just a couple of blocks from my home, and I'm pulling up to this intersection, and the light turns green, and I'm getting ready to drive through the intersection, and to the right on the corner is a man and a woman, and they went to step into the street on the green light, right, into the crosswalk. And I hit my brakes and to let them, and they step back on the curb. As I hit the brakes, at that moment, this white pickup truck ran the red light and went right through it. And I thought to myself, okay, so first off, you're angry, right? Oh, what a doofus, man, ran the red light, And I continued. He drives through, and I drive through. And as I got to the other side, I thought to myself, they saved my life. Now, wait a minute here. Was this something more cosmic? Was there something more to this than meets the eye, right? They don't know this guy's running the light. They want to cross in the crosswalk. I'm pulling up. They step, the story just tells itself, right? And I drove away from that thinking to myself, somebody just intervened, right? And all of that, that's a premonition thing. This is in advance of the real event. And what does the universe know? And how is all of this connected? And so I took the time, Jim, to stop and think about it, to contemplate the significance of the event. So many out there don't, right? They would just keep driving, not think about it, and life goes on. That's not the way it works for me. And like the lady that saw, somebody fall off the scaffolding, you need to take a minute to stop and think about the significance of the event. It's life-changing.
I do have another ghost story coming up, but or spooky, scary story, but I just have to tell something. We're talking about this, and it reminds me of Synchronicities. And I was just mentioning to my daughter today, as I was taking her to her job, I had a weird synchronicity about a week or two ago. You know Richard Syrett, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to his shows as I listen to your shows occasionally. You don't have time to listen to every episode of every show, but I like to tune in and see what the other great hosts are doing. And I went to my app and I scrolled, and the topic was synchronicity. And I'm like, oh, I love synchronicities. That's one of my favorite things. Who's the guest? Jim Harold.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
I'm like, whoa.
That's awesome.
Because it was a repeat. It was like mind blown. That's the ultimate synchronicity.
That's awesome, man. Can't touch that.
I haven't even told Richard that. I've got to send him a note and tell him that.
That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
what's next?
Well, this one goes way back in the archives. And, I'm a big believer in the idea of haunted objects. And this goes back to, and we've had a famous mirror story. We've had a painting story. And this is like the original painting story, not the Roadhouse Saloon story that many of our listeners will know. But this one that happened probably 2009, 2010. I think it was in my second book. And this was from Jay in California. And he told this story about when he was a kid. His mom went when he was very young to an estate sale and bought a painting. Now, I guess his mom and his dad were estranged, so it was just the mom and him and his sister, and they lived with their mom's friend and their child. So I think there were 3 kids. So she went and bought this painting, and she said when she went to this estate sale, this place was kind of spooky. It was in San Francisco. And he said it wasn't satanic per se, but it was kind of on the dark side. But it didn't stop her from buying this one painting she thought was beautiful. It portrayed a lady with blonde hair sitting on a rocking chair in a white gown. And his mom loved it, brought it home, found a place to put it, and ended up hanging it on the wall between the upstairs and downstairs. Then all of a sudden, the painting started falling off the wall. And it happened several times. And the thing is that the nail was put in, when you hang a picture, you put it in at an angle so it won't fall off. And they put it in, it would seem to be solid, and it would fall off. He remembers during a party they had, same thing happened. So anyway, after they have this painting a while, they start to hear weird noises like a faucet dripping, drip, 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 drip at night, which it never did. And that's happened for a few days. And then after a few days after this party, things really started to get interesting. All of them, especially the kids, starting about 2 or 3 in the morning, they would hear a lady in the downstairs crying really softly. They didn't know how to take it. They didn't know who it was. The first time it happened, both the moms came to the room with the kids, made sure they were okay. It's like, it mellowed out, it's okay. Next night it happened again. This time the crying was a little louder. The crying was coming from downstairs. It wasn't any person in the upstairs, not the kids, not the 2 moms. The crying was moaning and sobbing. Jay said that he envisioned this figure as maybe with her hands on her eyes, crying, looking down into her lap. That's the kind of crying it was. Somebody was inconsolable. A few nights went by, and they really got scared because it happened again. And at this point, the 2 moms are really scared. They knew it was going to keep happening. And about a week later, it got to the point where the crying was incredibly loud. It started out soft, and it got louder and louder. And then it just went explosive. It was so loud, Jay said, that you could literally feel the crying through the walls, just like a woman was crying and bawling her eyes out. At that point, it got too much for the 2 moms. So they went into action. They grabbed all the kids, and they said, something's going on in this house, and we're getting out of here right now. And Jay says he just remembers his mom grabbing him and his sister out of the bed. No preparation. They ran down the stairs at once. And they carried them out to the parking lot. And the front door was right down the stairs. They went right out, didn't even go through the front room. Now, to get to their car, they had to go around the community pool, which was right in front of the sliding doors in their living room. Their sliding glass door didn't have curtains, so you could see right inside. The parking lot was on the other side of the pool, within the side of the place. So when they got in the car, they could see in the glass windows right through the apartment. And that's when his mom and her friend freaked out, because when they looked inside their apartment, there was a lady with a white gown in their living room, sitting in a rocking chair, rocking with her hands to her face, looking like she was crying. And the two moms started to scream, "Oh my God." They were trying to get the ignitions in the car and they couldn't do it, the keys in the ignition. And they ended up speeding away and going to Jay's grandma's house. They never went back to that house again.
No.
Now, Jay doesn't know what happened to the painting. I tried to contact him recently and find out. I don't think we still know. But he says he'll never forget seeing that rocking woman from the painting. He thinks that it was not a dream. It was real. It's something they all experienced. And that painting, possibly whatever spirit was in that painting, he says came to life. He says hard to talk about.
I believe every word of that. That is a terrifying ghost story. And it's not a ghost story. It's a true story. And this is what I was talking about earlier. This stuff freaks me out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because, again, Jimmy, and I sound like a broken record, I think reality is so much weirder than we give it credit for. I think there is so much going on that, yeah, it's weird, it's spooky, it's scary, but it's real too. Now, that doesn't mean each and every story we ever hear is true. But I got to tell you, I talked to some people that seem extremely sincere. They really have nothing to gain by telling me these stories. And for the most part, I believe them. For example, that gentleman, I absolutely believe him. And just incredible.
Well, here's the rub. When we hear EVPs, for instance, or there's a ghost sighting, it's never a happy moment. I feel that these spirits, these souls, are lost. They don't know where they're at. Right? They're thrust into a new dimension, an alternate reality. They don't know how they got there. They can't communicate, and everything that we hear that's recorded or visual, or the stories or the witnesses, it's total sadness, and it's confusion, and they feel like they're being communicated to, but they can't communicate back. And there's this sadness, this melancholy that is wrapped around in this. Like this lady in the rocking chair, is she sad because of an event? Is she sad because she's lost? Is she sad because she's alone? Right? She's in a dimension that she can't get out of. That's the part that not only fascinates me, but it really makes me think. You don't hear about happy ghosts, right? Yeah,
for the most part. I mean, you get, nice after-death communications and things sometimes. But the thing that probably you just put your finger on the thing that bothers me the most about all of this. In other words, for me, I came from the Christian faith, but I was never a big churchgoer or anything like that, although in high school I went to a pretty extreme high school that they had some pretty extreme beliefs in terms of kind of fundamentalist Christian. But I was never like a huge churchgoer or anything for the most part. But I've always maintained a certain amount of faith in that area and consider myself the Christian faith. But my thought was always been, that when souls go, even if you believe in something like reincarnation, that souls go to kind of their just reward. And, if you believe in reincarnation, you're reincarnated until you learn the lessons that you have to learn. And if I understand it correctly, you're reincarnated. If you, let's say you were a horrible boss in one life, maybe you're reincarnated to be on the other end of that so you can learn the lesson of what that's like. It's not really punishment. It's more teaching you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this sense of justice. And I've always felt that first of all, I believe that something created all this. I don't think this just happened. It's too amazing. It's too incredible. The tolerances for survival of life are too great for this just to have happened, in my opinion. So I've always felt that there's some level of justice. And even with a heaven and hell, I mean, I don't think you should go to hell for jaywalking, but you're Hitler? Hey, I don't feel sorry for you. But what you're saying and what I've grappled with when you have these ideas of these spirits that are stuck,
mm-hmm.
that somehow that there might not be justice for everybody. And some people may be in kind of this nowhere land and they can't get out. That's really scary to me. Many times I'll talk to experts and authors and they'll say, well, maybe somebody doesn't go to the light. They're stuck because maybe they had a sudden passing. They died in something and they don't realize they're dead. That seems really unfair to me. So that's something, overall, my experience with these shows has been very positive in the sense that it's made me believe that there really is more to life than just, 70 and you're done. But that's something that bothers me. And the sense that there might not be justice and some people get stuck, that still bothers me.
Let's take our break right here. And it's Halloween night. And let's tell some more stories when we come back. It's Halloween Ghost Stories Night with Jim Harold, host of the Campfire. I am your host, Jimmy Church. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Hello, Fadernauts. Ray Sobbs here, inviting all of you to join us for the launch of a brand new broadcasting platform called the UNX Network. Tune in Halloween night as we go live on the X Streams for the first time to reveal our plans for this brand new and exciting platform. If you have an interest in the paranormal, UFOs, cryptids, ghosts, hidden histories, and alternative research, breakthrough technology, you will want to make the X your brand new home. Our programs will feature many familiar faces and even more new ones. And our listeners can interact and help investigative journalists, authors, researchers, and hosts who work diligently in the fight against the ideological divide that exists in media today. This platform is for critical thinkers seeking the alternatives to mainstream thought. So join us October the 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern at unxnetwork.com as we kick off the mothership, the UNX Network, explaining the unexplained.
Fadernauts. When you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now. Fadernauts, when you think about the future of our country and where we're headed, do you wonder about the food supply? I do. Disruptions in the food supply chain could be disastrous, and they usually occur with little warning. That's why the smartest thing you can do today is to stockpile emergency food, water, and other essentials. I personally recommend My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, serving millions of customers for more than a decade. In fact, they're the only source my family trusts for our preparedness plan. You should too. Right now, save 20% off a full 4-week supply of delicious meals that provide 2,000 calories a day. Saving 20% helps too, doesn't it? Especially now. So go to preparewithjimmy.com and get ready. That's preparewithjimmy.com. There's no time to lose. Do it now.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Halloween Ghost Stories with Jim Harold. Happy Halloween, everybody. And we're going to keep this party going. And but it made me think, Jim, talking about the painting, something strange happened at my house this weekend. Ooh. I still haven't gotten to the bottom of it, but I think I've got it figured out. But, okay. I just moved into this house, and I'm still unpacking boxes and moving things and stuff. And in my walk-in closet, I set up a shoe rack. And the shoe rack is about 12 feet wide, maybe a little longer, but about 12 feet wide. And 2 tiers. It's a low, right? 2 tiers for my Adidas collection. But anyway. So I'm unpacking shoes and placing them on the rack, and going down to the garage, unpacking another box, pulling out more shoes and stuff. But I'm also doing things around the house. So anyway, I get the top row done, and I come back in and I walk around the corner into I have a laundry basket full of folded clothes, and I walk into my walk-in closet, and 2 pairs of shoes are in the middle of the floor. And I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of freaked, right? Yeah. And I'm looking at the shoes, and they're out. They're like in the middle of the floor. And I'm just looking. I'm like, no, man, no, this is too weird. And so I take some pictures, and I take the shoes and I put them back on the rack and put the laundry away and split. I'm doing stuff around the house. I come back upstairs. This is maybe another load of laundry, and I walk back in, and they're back on the floor. And I was like, man. And it didn't take long, right? It wasn't long. It was an hour or 2 hours. And I'm picturing in my mind them falling down and into the middle of the floor. You know, what's going on? And I say to myself out loud, I'm like, I got a ghost. Okay, it's cool. And I walked out into the bathroom and I looked in the mirror and I smiled at myself and I went, this is pretty cool. This is all right. Put the shoes back on the rack. Take some pictures. I shoot a video. And now I'm making plans, tripods. You know, I'm going to get cameras in there. This just happened. This is Friday. And it happens like 2 more times. And I'm trying to figure this out because the shoes, they're tennis shoes. They stick, right? They're not sliding, right. You know, and I'm like, what is going on? So it's like 2:00 in the morning, Friday night. Mm-hmm. And I'm watching a movie. And there's a quiet part in the movie. And I'm lying in my bed and I hear boom, boom. I went, no way, man, no way. And I get up, I walk in, and the shoes are in the middle of the floor again. So I put them back on the shelf. I go to bed, wake up in the morning, walk in. Of course, they're back down on the floor. And I'm like, I'm done with this. And I put the shoes on the lower rack, right? And these are 2 black pairs of shoes. None of the other shoes are moving, right? There's another 20 pairs of shoes. They're not going anywhere. They haven't moved at all. And later on that afternoon, I was like, okay, I'm going to go check. I'll walk in, and they were down, and they were from the lower rack, and they're just perfectly sitting there, but they had fallen down. They're still there. I haven't moved them. Anyway, so I'm unpacking another box, and I've got a couple more pairs of shoes. And I go back up and I put them on, and I'm like, man, you know. And now it's a white pair of Adidas, and I put them on the shelf. And I give it about an hour, and this is now Sunday, and I walked in, and the white shoes were on the floor. And so I don't know. I am going to set cameras up, and I just think it's something to do with somehow they're sliding off. So
well, I don't know. It might be, or you just kind of described something that's become a thing on the Campfire. And it is called JOTT. Have you heard of JOTT?
No, what's JOTT?
Okay. So a couple of years back, I interviewed an author. Her name was Mary Rose Barrington. She had a book out called JOTT, J-O-T-T, When Things Disappear and Come Back and Relocate and Why It Really Happens. Now, the thing about this woman was when I interviewed her, she was probably, she was born in 1926. So you do the math if I interviewed her in 2018. So what would that be? Would that be
96, 95?
92, 92 or something?
Yeah.
So anyway, she just passed, unfortunately, last year, I think. Last year, 2019. But this came up on Campfire, and somebody called in with one of these stories where they know where they put something, and it disappeared, and it shows up the same place a month later where they put it. And I mentioned JOTT, and we got an avalanche of JOTT stories. I'll read to you kind of a synopsis from the Amazon page what it is. Rifts in the fabric of causality. JOTT is derived from just one of those things, meaning the things that fall on the floor, never seen again, or replaced on a table for ready access, but were next seen a few weeks later in a box of corks inside a drawer in a trunk, or which are not where you left them, but unaccountably reappear on top of something you have just placed there. JOTT takes a variety of forms, but is generally dismissed as your faulty memory, your faulty perception, your inability to report facts correctly, or just as a nuisance best forgotten. But sometimes the anomaly really is a blip in our causal reality. And the cool thing about this author, and I'm so sad that she didn't get to see this, not that it's, it's not like it's on, the national news or anything, but even in our little community of Campfire, seeing this gain such traction. She was a lawyer. She was a charity administrator. She was a vice president of the Society for Psychical Research, which, if anybody knows the SPR, that goes way back, and that's been a very serious organization, not woo-woo, but very serious research organization.
Yes.
And she became president of the Oxford University SPR. So we're not talking about a lightweight here.
Right.
So she wrote this book, and I just think it's so cool in a way that it's living beyond her, in the sense that it, people are seeing that, maybe this isn't just I forgot where I put my shoes, or maybe it's not just where they're slipping off. Now, they could be slipping off, but maybe not, Jimmy. Maybe it's a JOTT.
I'm telling you, when my first reaction when I walked in and saw those shoes on the floor, it didn't compute. I've never had anything like that happen quite like that. I mean, very deliberate. Now, there's probably something very mundane, some simple explanation to this, where obviously these shoes are defying every law of physics that we know. and anything that can happen will eventually. And these shoes have chosen to defy everything that Newton wrote out for us 300 years ago. I don't know. I find it very interesting that all the other shoes haven't moved, one. And two, I wish you could be here wish you were here to go in and just put your hands on the shoes and try to slide them. They don't. They're stuck. They're sticky. So what is it? I don't know.
Or maybe it's a spirit just messing with Jimmy Church.
Yeah. I mean, I literally said I've got a ghost, and I laughed about it, and I thought it was pretty funny. And we'll see. I'm definitely going to videotape this and put a pretty cool video together so everybody can understand what I'm talking about. But I posted a bunch of pictures online, and I truly freaked out. Now I've resolved it. I've calmed down a little bit. I've resolved it in my own mind. It's my way of protecting myself.
Well, it reminds me of something, and this didn't happen to me, but it happened to my wife. And this is not in the house that we moved in 6 months ago. This was in our old house. And one night around the holiday time, she was doing some Christmas wrapping and things. And she walks into our bedroom because she had a closet where she kept the Christmas wrapping and stuff and hides gifts and stuff like that from the kids or whatever. And she walks in and she's holding one of those big gift paper rolls, the ones I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. And nobody's upstairs. The kids are in bed. She walks in the room, and something pulls on the wrapping paper. That's it. I mean, and that's the thing. That a lot of times, there's super elaborate stories, and this happened, and this happened, and the other thing happened, and this happened, and that happened. But sometimes some of the most powerful stories are like, somebody tried to pull this wrapping paper out of my hands. There was no one there. Right. And that's kind of like your shoe story.
Right.
I mean, your shoes fell off the rack.
Right.
But if you think about it, well, how did they fall off the rack? Again, hinting at that whole thing about reality being stranger than we think it is.
A couple of years ago, this is probably 3 or 4 years ago now, I've got a big guitar collection. I've got a lot of guitars. I do. They go that way. Yep. They go that way, right? There's a lot of guitars in here. And I finished the show, and it wasn't this bunker, it was another one. But everything is soundproofed. Just like this room here, there's stuff like your studio, right? A lot of acoustic treatment goes on the ceiling and the walls. But when the show's over and I take my headphones off, it is dead quiet. You can't hear a thing, right? It's dead quiet. So I take off my headphones. The show is over. I put my headphones down, and this is what happens. This is what I hear. I don't know if you can hear it. I have noise gates on this microphone, but this is what I hear. Right? Now, it's to my back. And I hear it. And I spin around and I'm looking at the guitars like, which one did that? And I'm looking, there's nothing to fall. There's nothing, and to do what I heard, the motion is this. Dig what I'm saying? Do you understand?
Right.
Nothing fell on the guitar. It was a strum.
Yeah, when you strum a guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the studio, and I was like, this is my... Right? I mean, I did that by myself, and I wouldn't... I mean, I didn't want to look, right? I didn't want... I'm thinking, what just happened? And I still don't have an explanation for it. And it was crazy. And in the quietness of the studio, which is all soundproof, that thing was loud, you know.
Sure.
And
that'll stand out.
It was bizarre. I still don't
And
know.
here's something I'll throw out to you. You know, the guitars and music are very important to you. Anybody who follows you knows that. So was it something trying to speak to you in a way that would be extremely meaningful to you? And I just said this to a caller today. She was talking about all these things that happened as signs. I believe when something, whatever it is, tries to communicate with us, many times they will pick out things that are very meaningful to maybe Jimmy Church, but might not be as meaningful to Jim. It's tailored to the person. I believe that.
Yeah. And it was now, okay, since we're telling these stories, and you just reminded me of something with your wife. This is better than Campfire. We're doing our own Campfire.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. I didn't want to share this because I don't want to sound. I just don't want to sound like that kind of person. But this is what happened. I'm in bed. I've got TV. It's after the show. It's probably 1:00 in the morning, eating, watching a movie, whatever. I'm lying sideways towards my nightstand. I've got a king-size bed. I'm in the middle of the bed. And I've got an iPad that's on. I've got my cell phone right here on the bed. A TV is, I'm sideways. And this is what happens. I'm not making any of this up. Something pushes on my back, and I've got blanket, you know, and it was like a nudge for real.
Huh.
And I wouldn't look. I just kept looking at the nightstand, and I was like, that wasn't right. And I'm alone in this big house, right? And I was freaking myself out. And I you know what? I didn't turn my head. I stayed looking forward, and I wouldn't turn around. I didn't want to know. I didn't want to see. I didn't want to experience it. I didn't want to do any of it. I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it on the show. It's Halloween. But
well, that reminds me of a story, and I just literally pulled it up. So we're doing this in real time here. We're through the looking glass here. Julie from Germany called up in 2019. You just reminded me of this story. So I'm literally looking at her story right now, and she said that her husband. Now get this because it relates to your story. Her husband is a senior officer in the Air Force stationed in Germany, and a couple of years ago. She was actually stationed in a base in Wyoming that dated back way back in American history. Lots of old buildings, large historic housing, many hauntings on the base. The home that they were living in was built in 1906. And they had a lot of kind of weird things that started happening. So her daughter was away for a couple nights, so it was just her and her husband. They'd gone to bed, and Julie was sleeping soundly. She got woken up by somebody pulling her hair. She said she didn't move. She just thought to herself, this is really happening. Went back to sleep, woke up sometime later, still dark outside. She said that she could feel her husband spooning her. And she remembered wondering why he was holding his arm around her so tightly it almost hurt. A few minutes later, a black mist started to form in front of the fireplace by the foot of the bed. The woman says, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus." And she heard her husband say behind him, "Don't say that." And she said it startled him because she knew her husband wouldn't say that. So she slowly started to turn over to her back to look at him. Suddenly, he was over me just a few inches from my face and smiling, except it wasn't my husband.
Oh.
But it looked like him, though. Even the hair on the chest, it was an eerie, creepy version of my husband, something that was apparently trying to impersonate him and take his place. It vanished, and I immediately scooted back and propped up on my pillow with my hip turned up some and had my arm down at my side with my hand resting on my hip under the covers. A few minutes later, all 3 nightlights in the room dimmed simultaneously, and I felt a hand pick up my hand and begin to lift it, covers and all. She yanked her hand back and scooted back until her back was against the headboard, rebuked it again, and turned the lamp on. It was 5:41. Her husband was going out for a run, which he did every morning at 5 a.m. I jumped up when I heard him come into the house and ran to where he was. So apparently it wasn't her husband. It was this doppelganger, this evil doppelganger who spooned with her.
Oh, man.
You just reminded me that.
Oh, man.
And then she said stuff would keep happening. But eventually she started saying, "Leave me alone while I'm trying to sleep." And she said she was very glad to leave that house. So, yeah, Julie from Germany had that one to share. And I kind of stumbled my way through that, but I had to share it because it reminded me, at least Jimmy the ghost wasn't spooning with you.
Oh, man. That's a great story. Spooned by an entity.
Yes.
And yeah, that is El Creepo. I don't know what my face was like when I got the nudge, and it was a very deliberate, this thing. But I literally diverted my eyes. I didn't even want to go like that. I just stared straight forward and really freaked myself out. I mean, like in a bad way. I didn't dig it. I didn't dig it, and it was real. And we hear about stories like this all the time. Something touched me in bed. Something touched me here. And sometimes we dismiss it too quickly. And then when it happens to you, right? That was something that I think it's going to stay with me for a while. I don't think I've ever really had anything like that happen before. Maybe years ago, but I always had an excuse for it. I was sleeping with somebody who was already in my bed. This time I was alone. And I'm starting to. I don't think my place is haunted. I don't think so. But the neighborhood that I'm in is quiet. So 6 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night, you can hear. There's no traffic. There's no car noise. There's nothing. My neighbors are quiet. And at night, it is dead quiet. If everything is off in the house, it is just absolutely quiet. And I've just been hearing things, and it's so quiet, so much. When something does happen, it's obvious, and it's loud. So I don't know. Do you think? And I always do this. I'm bad about this because I'm turning the tables and asking you questions. But do you think, out of habit, do you think doing shows like this opens people like us up? 100%.
Yeah. 100%.
No, I've always thought that. I have had, and I'm sure you've done this too. So it's just you and I talking right now, Jim. This and this audience. But I have gone through shows. The shows are 3 hours long. So what happens with me during the show is I'm not on the internet. I'm not reading. I'm not surfing. I'm talking to somebody for 3 hours.
Right.
And that allows brain activity. Things are going on. and I'll end a show, and these shows make me think. It's been it's a 2.5 hour conversation with somebody. I'm learning. My brain is working. It's active. And I turn around after the show, and I have had some pretty amazing thoughts and dreams and synchronicities after the show where I can't deny that I'm now susceptible. I think you know what I mean. The door is cracked open, and you're allowing these things in, and I absolutely believe that. I'm sure that you've had the same things happen to you.
Yeah, I mean, I've had more stuff happen to me since I've started these shows. What is it? I don't know if it's Nietzsche or somebody smart said once, if you look into the abyss, it'll look back. And I think there's a lot of truth to that.
You're out there in the dark, man. You're at the edge of the cliff, and you got your foot out there in front of you, and you're feeling the edge of the cliff, and it's there, right? And you're pushing it. You're pushing it. Do you want to take that extra step? And I think that you do.
Yeah, and some things make me uncomfortable. I'll tell quickly a story. I did a show with the late great Rosemary Ellen Guiley, and I really mean that. She was
amazing, amazing.
Favorite all-time guest. She was on the show 20 times, literally. And one show that she was on, we did an interview on the jinn, and she sent me a book on the jinn. And we did the interview, and later that day, I got a phone call that my uncle died. And again, he was ill, but I don't think anybody expected him to die, or at least I didn't. He died. 2 weeks later, my mom died. And the only time, because Rosemary was very kind and always sent me her books, I kept every single one of them except for one. I got rid of the jinn book. It was just a little too close to home. Probably a total coincidence, but it was just a little too close to home.
She wrote me or called me, and she was going to drive through L.A., and she wanted to drop off a scrying mirror as a gift. And I was looking forward to it, and then she called back and said, I've got to go somewhere else, but I'm going to circle back through L.A. next month, and I'll drop it off. I said, okay. And then she passed away.
Yeah, she was the nicest person.
And her death was it was so sudden. I think.
Yeah, it was. It was really, really sudden and sad, and just the nicest person. I want to make this quick. I know we're coming up against a break, but I always thought, boy, she must really like me. She is so nice. But then I found out she was that way to everyone.
She was that way with everyone.
She was so nice. I think I could say, without reservation, she was the nicest person. And you're great, Jimmy, and there are a lot of great people, nice people. But I think she's the nicest person I've met in this field, bar none. She's just a sweet, sweet person.
Yeah, she was so cool to hang out with, and
so smart.
Well, see, this is the thing about Rosemary. There's a lot of smart people in the paranormal world, and that study and research and things. But I think all of them will tell you that Rosemary was way up here when it came to knowledge of these subjects.
Yep.
And she was so admired with her intelligence, but coupled with just a cool person. And you know what? I hope she's listening right now. Rosemary, strum a guitar for me. Let's take a break right here. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Halloween Ghost Stories Night with Jim Harold. We're going to get back to some stories right after this short break. Stay with us on the Game Changer Network and KJCR. As of Sunday night, the UNX Network. We'll be right back.
Hi, everybody. This is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late? We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to getthetea.com. That's getthetea.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to getthetea.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's getthetea.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from Rivermoon. Just click on the Rivermoon coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B blend.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact.
When you're in the house for longer periods of time, you can see them flying or running across the floor. Ooh, yuck. They're unhealthy, gross, and disgusting. Bugs. I loathe bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. On contact, it kills hidden bugs, including ants, roaches, and fleas. Plus, Orange Guard is a residual repellent. All of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally recognized as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard. Available at orangeguard.com, Whole Foods, and Ace Hardware.
Gold loves chaos, uncertainty, and disarray. History shows us what gold does when people aren't sure about the government, the stock market, their jobs, or their retirement savings. Our national debt is skyrocketing. Gold and other precious metals are a defense measure against inflation and a stock market that might take years to recover. So what can you do right now to protect yourself? Call United Gold Group. We offer gold and other precious metals delivered securely within 72 hours. Are you worried about the stock market? We can also help you set up a real gold or silver IRA or a 401k. Safe and secure. United Gold Group makes gold ownership affordable. Call now and get up to $2,500 in free gold or silver with a qualified IRA. Call 800-753-8534. That's 800-753-8534 or visit unitedgoldgroup.com.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why Fade to Black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Halloween Ghost Stories with Jim Harold. And I did get nudged. I don't want to be the person that tells these stories, Jim. I don't. And I find myself, when something like this happens, I don't want to share it. I don't want to be that person. But I got nudged, and I didn't want to look, and I was scared.
Yeah. I mean, it scares you. You know, we're only human. I mean, we talk about these things, but that doesn't mean that we're impervious to them if they happen to us, particularly the scary stuff. I've never really had a lot of scary stuff per se, but I don't want to say that too loudly.
It'll happen tonight.
Happen.
Yeah, it'll happen tonight.
Exactly.
All right, what's next?
Well, you know, I love, to your point about not being the one kind of person who tells those stories, I love when someone who you think would be a skeptic or a scientist tells their stories. And this one actually is from the UK and was quite a few years ago on the show. And it was about this physician. His name was Farbod. He was in the UK. And he was training, he hadn't qualified, I guess they call it fully. But he was qualified to work on patients, but he hadn't fully made it to the full rank, I guess. Like a residency, I guess. So anyway, he was working in this emergency department. And he was in the bottom floor of the hospital. All of a sudden, there's a cold blue cardiac arrest call. You got to go up like to the third or like fourth or fifth floor where the cardiac ward goes. And he goes and he's running up the stairs. And all of a sudden, he gets to about the third floor and he sees this patient come into the corridor. And the patient is naked from the waist down. And he's like, I don't have time to mess with this guy. I've got to get to this patient. Somebody's like coding up on the fifth floor. I got to get to him. So he kindly guides the man into the hallway and he calls down to the nurses, can somebody please take care of this man? Can somebody take care of him? Do something with him? I've got to go upstairs and deal with an emergency. So he doesn't think any more about it, goes the next 2 steps. But when he walks into the room, he's shocked at what he sees. He sees a patient flatlining. And that patient, in his late 60s, early 70s, is exactly the same man wearing the same shirt, flatlining in that bed. The man died. When he came back down, once the man was pronounced dead, he went and asked the nurses, did you see a man here, the man I told you about? And said, we heard you yelling about something. We came out, we didn't see any man. So if you take it at face value, it basically, he saw the soul of that man departing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I love that. There's a doctor, Scott Kolbaba is his name. And he did a book called Physician Stories. Now, it was more about miracle stories about people who weren't supposed to live, but lived.
I remember the book, yes.
Yeah, and he got something like 24 doctors to do these stories and put their names to them. And I thought that was remarkable because we know people in medical situations, they see people at the point of death and they see a lot of things. And we've had quite a few callers over the years to Campfire who are in the medical profession who have talked about different things. And to me, that's even more proof that there really is life after death. And, our physical presence, that's not the whole ball of wax.
I think that most medical professionals, because you go through the sciences and you go through all of that, where and physicists too as well, the hard sciences, they aren't spiritual at first, right? And that's just the world that they're in, and that's fine. But it's those medical professionals are the ones that get moved the most because they go through these near-death experiences. They go through this unexplainable situations in operating rooms, in emergency rooms, and somebody flatlining, and they know what is going on. And then something unexplainable happens later where they know their pragmatic mind, right? The black and white world of science suddenly gets shifted. And they are the best examples of people that will share something like this that is totally unexplainable. And they will say, look, I wasn't spiritual before, but I can't explain this. And I totally agree with you. It's those doctors and those nurses out there that experience these things firsthand, right? And I couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah, one of the best books that I've seen on this topic, and one of my favorite interviews I've done in the last year, we may have even talked about in the last show, Dr. Bruce Grayson.
Mm-hmm.
He did a book called After a Doctor Explores What Near-Death Experiences Reveal About Life and Beyond. And he told this story when he was very young in his career, that he had gone to lunch and he had gotten spaghetti sauce on his tie, but he was trying to hide it and so forth because he had to go on a consult. There was this young girl who had, I don't know if she overdosed or something happened, and he had to go talk. He was called in and, you know, did the examination or whatever and came back and talked to the family, and luckily the girl recovered, but she basically looked like she was going to die. And I think they kind of brought her back kind of thing. And the next day she's talking to the doctor, and he's saying, well, glad you made it through, blah, blah, blah. This is the story as best as I recall it. And she says, and she's talking with him. She said, oh, by the way, did you get the spaghetti stain off your tie?
I read that in the book. Yeah, it's one of the more incredible stories. I just had Dr. Bob Davis on the show.
Yeah.
He's amazing,
Yes.
and his research into this is incredible. And he's got one example after another of these medical professionals going through these situations where there is no way that this person who was brought back from the dead, right, that they would know these things. And one of the examples that I don't think Bob told the story on the air, but it was off the air, and I saw this with a piece of film. I can't get into it. He's making a documentary, but he tells the story that this person died, come back, and was now dead, trying to bring her back. And meanwhile, one of the nurses drops a scalpel, whatever, something on the floor, and bent over, picked it up, and put it back in the tray. Now it's not sterilized.
Right.
But the nurse did it behind everybody's back. Right? This person comes back and the next day or 2 days later is talking to the nurse saying, I saw you pick that utensil up off the floor and put it back in the tray. And the nurse knows what happened.
Right.
Patient is dead, eyes closed. Nurse thinks she's gotten away with something, right? And how do you explain that?
Yeah, it's that old saw. It's not what you do when somebody's looking. It's what you do when you don't think anybody's looking, right? I don't know. I mean, to me, the answer, and that's the thing. And I've talked to so many people about this, so if I'm repeating this from a previous show, I apologize. But to me, when you look at these near-death experiences, particularly when you look at the situation where people can account of things that they should not be able to see. They can see the treatments that are being done. They can see the spaghetti sauce stain. They can see the nurse putting the dirty implement scalpel back on the supposedly sterile tray. And these people are, quote, dead or unconscious at the very least, but they can see many times from an aerial view.
Mm-hmm.
You know, skeptics explain dopamine and, you know, it's the throes of a dying brain trying to comfort you and all this stuff. And while that's all well and good, how do you explain that scalpel? How do you explain that spaghetti sauce? How do you explain, we had one where this was a Campfire caller that she was part of a life flight team. And she flew this guy, no, just a regular paramedic, I'm sorry, I think. And anyway, she had a gold jacket. And this guy was totally out. And they got him to the hospital and he came back. But he never at any point was conscious to see her in the gold jacket. So anyway, years later, somehow she met him, and he said, "Oh, I wanted to tell you." Somehow it came around. I remember you, and I specifically remember your gold jacket. And there's no way he would have known that. No way he would have known that. How do the skeptics explain that? The truth is, you can't explain it unless you believe what these people are saying is that they are going out of their bodies. They're seeing these things, which really, to me, strongly supports the idea of life after death.
Well, Jim, it's very simple to me. When we have all of the research from SRI in Stanford, remote viewing, and the Stargate project, and the heavy investment that both the Soviet Union, now Russia, and our very own CIA, their investment into these remote viewing programs. Now, whatever you want to say about remote viewing, there has been a lot of successes and a lot of documented things that have gone down. Do we, Ingo Swann and everybody, Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff and others, is it the same as astral projection? Is it the same as what others have experienced about leaving their bodies and observing? I would venture to say it's the same thing. The phenomena is absolutely identical. One is we're conscious, we're alive, we haven't died, but we have tuned the ability to go and do these things, and not only on planet but off planet. And to venture out and do this. This is what so many cultures have talked about for thousands of years.
Right.
And I believe the phenomenon is real. That remote viewing, astral projection, life after death, the ability to see things outside of our bodies is just a human trait. Some of us can exercise, practice it, and fine-tune it. But I think that Ingo Swann and Hal Puthoff and Dean Radin and those out there that have been researching this for years will all tell you the same thing. We can all do it. We just got to teach you how to do it.
And here's the point where I have a problem with the skeptics, because the skeptics will say, well, you don't support science, or you don't believe in science. But I believe that science and all of this, and in fact, a lot of this is science, can live side by side harmoniously. For example, what we're doing right now, I mean, the folks can't see it, but I can see you and you can see me, and we're doing this from our studios. Used to be, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, you had to be Ted Koppel to do this. If
literally Ted Koppel.
Yeah, half the people won't even know who that is. But I'm old. What can I say? But the point is, and this is Nightline. Anyway, the point being that I love science. All this tech stuff I love is all based on math and science. Science is great. I just saw William Shatner go in space last week. I mean, science is great. But I don't think it should shut us off to other realities or stretch what science is and realize that our science now is going to be primitive when people look back at it 50, 100, 150, 1,000 years from now. So respect what we've done before, celebrate what we've done to date, but realize it's not the be-all and the end-all. I think you can intellectually walk and chew gum at the same time in that fashion, if you know what I'm saying.
One of the things that I love about skeptics, one of my favorite skeptics who I tease a lot is Richard Dawkins. And atheist, hardcore, and everything is chemicals and chemistry, and there's nothing special beyond that. But there's a famous quote, and I watched it over and over again come out of his mouth. He goes, but I'll never go in a haunted house. Right? He's the ultimate skeptic.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's just somebody that I just tease endlessly. But he won't go in a haunted house. See, and so as hardcore as he is when it comes to these things,
when the rubber meets the road,
yeah, even he has got a line that he's not going to cross when it comes to the paranormal. He's not going in a haunted house, and but it's like, wait, you can't have it both ways, Mr. Dawkins. Okay, we've got time for one more.
Okay, well, this was a fun one, and it's kind of a good time of year because November 1st, everybody's going to be talking about the holidays and Christmas. So this is a Christmas ghost story, a little early for us. This one was from a few years ago, and this gentleman would rent a house every Christmas. There were about 15 people in the house, and they would rent this house. And basically what it was a big Christmas get-together. They would have a party and have a great time, and, everybody would just have a good time. So anyway, this one night, he is Adam. It's Adam from Connecticut, and there's about 15 of his family members there. They're in bed. He's up. He's downstairs. And he's kind of, sitting in the living room looking up. And he sees this rather weird-looking figure at the top of the stairs. And at first he thinks, oh, it's somebody from the, it's somebody from the house. It's one of my family members or something like that. And he looks, and it looks like the person is wearing a tuxedo. And then, amazingly, another figure shows up, and they walk down the stairs together, and they're walking, and maybe you've heard this before, Jimmy. When they were walking down the stairs, they're walking like in this herky jerky kind of motion, and then the one says to the other, "Oh my love, what a mirror image we are." Oh my love, what a mirror image we are, in a very kind of what's the deep male voice. And he says he just got chills thinking about it. And he said at this point the figure was almost bobbing back and forth, kind of looking around. It didn't seem to direct, specifically. It might have been talking to the house. And again, he said it was just so haunting the way it said, "Oh, my love, what a mirror image we are." Like someone was saying in a cave. Then the apparitions walked into another room that was off to the right and never came back. He didn't know what to do, so he just kind of stayed there. He didn't get up to look for anybody. He was just so baffled. He was up for about an hour afterward, and nothing came back out of the room. And he says he's absolutely convinced that it said, "Oh, my love, what a mirror image we are." Now, he says he doesn't know what that means. Now, the next morning, the family was all together, and he asked, was anybody going to the bathroom or looking around the house? He thought maybe somebody had had a little few too many and was just kind of wandering. They all said no. But the one uncle said, "I meant to ask you guys, too, if anybody peeked their head into my room." He said someone did that about 3 a.m. in the morning. He said he saw his door open and the glare of light from the hallway. Then someone peeked their head in the room and looked around. No one confessed to that either. So Adam may have seen a ghost in this place. But I don't know if you've heard this, but I have heard people say apparitions sometimes, Jimmy, moving like this herky-jerky motion.
I have never, if I saw that, I don't know, right? I don't know what kind of person I would be afterwards. I've only seen one ghost, and I'm convinced that it was a ghost because of the events and how it went down. I remember the next day after this sighting, and I'm sitting around with the three other people that were with me the night before when all of this went down. I was the only one that saw it. But we were pretty traumatized. And in that, lights were on after that at night. Doors were always checked to make sure that they were locked. And it wasn't anything that we took lightly. And this was in Hollywood. This was like 35 years ago, and I was younger. And if the same event would have happened to me as an adult, I think that I would have taken it differently. We were looking at it more as an angry defensive posture. And
Right.
I wouldn't that was our reaction to, you're young.
Well, yeah.
But as an adult, no, I think I would have looked at it completely differently. I want to thank you for taking the time tonight to spend Halloween with us and share these stories. How when do you put out the new Campfire? When do the new episodes for the Paranormal podcast happen each week?
Well, the Paranormal podcast comes out every Monday, and we just released one today on black-eyed kids, that weird phenomena. And then Jim Harold's Campfire comes out every Thursday. And actually, I misspoke. Paranormal podcast Tuesday, Jim Harold's Campfire Thursday. And actually, we have a new podcast in our family, and it's hosted by my daughter, Cassandra Harold. It's called Unpleasant Dreams, and that's more of a kind of a narrative style podcast with music and sound effects, and that's really spooky. We just did one on the strange death of Edgar Allan Poe, and that's called Unpleasant Dreams. So kind of making it a family affair here, but it's a lot of fun. I hope everybody checks them out everywhere you get your podcasts, and also they can go to jimharold.com. And Jimmy, thank you for your kind invitation. A pleasure to spend some Halloween time with you and the Fadernauts.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jim. And all of Jim's websites and links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. And we've got them up throughout social media, so you can go and check it out. But jimharold.com is kind of the melting pot, and you can hit there too as well. But jimharoldplus.com and everything else is right there at jimmychurchradio.com. Jim, you are the absolute gold standard. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Have a great night. Jim Harold. I do want to say happy Halloween to everybody. And I want to remind everybody what's going on tomorrow night, too, as well. Shaw the Loon Witch is here for our 8th annual Shaw the Loon Witch Halloween special event. Very special thanks to Jim Harold. Jim, thank you so much. Enjoy your Halloween with the family and stay scary. Thank you so much, Jim. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back.
Here, and you are listening to my boy Jimmy Church on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter,
but listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Yes, Rivermoon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from Rivermoon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2B blend for 15% off of your order today.
This is Billy Carson with ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Forbidden Knowledge TV has just reached its 1-year anniversary. That's right, 1 year. And as a show of appreciation, we are giving all new subscribers a free 30-day trial of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's 30 days to binge watch thousands of movies, documentaries, conferences, workshops, lectures, yoga classes, meditation courses, and so much more. So log on to forbiddenknowledge.tv from your computer or mobile device, or get the Forbidden Knowledge TV app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, iTunes, or Google Play today and use coupon code 30daysfree. That's coupon code 30 days free on forbiddenknowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JOTT.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Happy Halloween, everybody. Happy Halloween. And I want to thank Jim Harold for coming in tonight. And I know what a busy schedule he has during the Halloween week. And it was just great to just sit down and tell some spooky stories. And again, I want to remind everybody what's going on this week, and that is tomorrow night, Shaw the Loon Witch is with us for our 8th annual Halloween special with Shaw, and she is going to be giving the Fade or Not their readings, 3 cards, bam, bam, bam. And all night long, it's going to be a full, fun night tomorrow night with Shaw the Loon Witch. And coming to us from, like, Salem, Massachusetts. And then Thursday night, Fader night, open lines. But Race Hobbs is going to be with us. And I'm hoping that I can talk Race into taking some phone calls and hanging out for a little bit too as well. But it is Fader night. It's open lines. But we are going to announce the UNX network on Thursday night. And then, of course, this Sunday, Halloween night, October 31st, is the launch of the UNX network, and I'll be joining everybody over there. Okay, and that's going on Sunday night. Again, thank you to Jim Harold for a great night tonight on the show. Now, I wanted to save this. I've opened up the phone lines. I've already got a bunch of calls on hold. Everybody just stay right there. But I wanted to share with everybody my ghost story. And I think if I look back and just kind of think about things, this is like my one ghost story. And I know I've told the story before on the air, but it's been a while. But I just want to share it with everyone. And going through these ghost stories tonight with Jim, and I just was compelled, and I didn't want to take away from Jim and his conversation with this, but this is what happened. And this was probably 1988. And I know specifically the year because back then I lived in Hollywood, and I had a magazine that I was a partner with. My partner's name was Bart, and it was called Concrete Jungle. And it was a street rag, rock and roll, and things. It was a lot of fun. It was a great time of my life. But anyway, there was a nightclub out here in the Valley called the Country Club, Chuck Landis Country Club. It was a big venue, big. And one year, we had an awards party. And I think we called it the Jammies, the Concrete Jungle Jammy Awards. And it was an opportunity for us to get our friends together, everybody get up on stage, play. It was pretty cool. I think Rough Cut played that night. The Wild played that night. I could go on and on with the different bands. But anyway, so we do this thing, and it lasted. The country club closed at 2 a.m. And I made plans after this night to go to my girlfriend's house. Her name was Christine, and to get together with some friends. And so I leave the country club, and it's about 2:15, 2:30 in the morning. We're done. We wrap up and things. And I jump in my car, and I drive from Reseda in the valley where the country club was, and I drive to Hollywood. And this home, Christina's house, was a back house to a house. It's a back house. But nobody lived in the front house. There were reasons for that, but I didn't find out until the next day. So anyway, I drive, and I had a little Datsun hatchback B210. And I drive, and I finally make it to Hollywood. And I was expecting Christina and her roommate and her boyfriend to already be there. Okay. And I pull up to the house, and the house had a long driveway to the back house in the back. And I pull up, and there's no cars there. And I was like, okay, all right. How long am I going to have to wait and things? But I roll down the window, and I sit, and I'm waiting for everybody to get to the house. And I'm the only car in the driveway. And I happen to glance, and the house is to my left. And now the house itself, I want to say this part. The house itself was probably built when Hollywood was starting. So the house is probably from the 1930s, the front house, and so was the back house. And it was really nice. And it had a porch. It had steps that came up, and there was a railing, white pillars. And then the front door, there was a bedroom window to the right of the front door. But to the left of the front door was a giant picture window, probably 4 foot by 6 foot, but a big piece of glass. It was really nice. And by the way, this house is basically across the street from the Church of Scientology on Fountain and or Franklin and Bronson on the corner there, if you know the area. Okay, so I'm sitting there. It's 2:30 in the morning, and I just glance out the window of my car, and I look, and everything's nicely lit up, and I'm looking, and I see somebody pull the curtains back and look at me. And I see this, and I get angry. And the reason why I get angry is because somebody is letting me sit in my car instead of inviting me into the house while we're waiting for everybody to show up. And so I'm pissed off, and I get out of my car, and I walk up, and I'm expecting the front door to open. Hey, man, come on in. We're waiting for everybody to show up. That's what I was expecting. And I go up, and I stand on the front porch, and nothing happens. Front door doesn't open. Whoever looked out sees me. I'm right there. My car's right there. And nothing happens. So I knock on the door. And I'm waiting. Nobody answers. And I knock again, and it's an angry knock this time. Right? Nobody answers. And I'm standing out on the front porch like a doofus, and I don't enjoy what is happening, and I'm getting mad. I'm getting angry. And somebody's in the house, and they're not letting me in. I go back to the car, and I sit, and I'm just looking back at the house. Nobody looks back out the window. And then Christina and Chris and her roommate, Chris is her roommate's boyfriend. I don't remember her roommate's name. I remember Chris, though. Yeah, he's a cool dude, actor. And he's a big buff dude. And they get out of the car, and I get out, and I'm like, what do you guys, what? No, hold on. Telling the story a little backwards, but it doesn't matter. Christina pulls up first. And I said, hey, your roommate is in the house and won't let me in. And she goes, no, she's not. She's with Chris. They're going to be here in a minute. I went, no, she's in the house. Christina kind of freaks. Then they pull up behind Christina. And he gets out of the car. She gets out of the car. I said, wait a minute. I thought you were in the house and not letting me in. She goes, no, obviously. And now I've got everybody freaked out. And I'm freaked out. There's somebody in the house. Right? And now Chris is ready, man. He's ready to kick butt. And so am I. And we go up and we unlock the door. And we go in. We're kind of cautious. There's somebody in the house. And we're turning on the lights. We're looking around. And it's a small back house. I think there was 2 bedrooms, front living room, a kitchen, and that's it. Bathroom. But that's it. You can see everything when you walk in. And there's nobody there. And the girls are out on the front porch as Chris and I go through the house. We turn on all the lights. We turn everything on. There's nobody there. And that is what started to freak us out. We're checking all the windows. The windows are locked. We go through every nook and cranny before the girls come in the house, and there is nobody there. Nobody under the beds, nobody this, and that. There's nobody in the house. And everybody's freaked. I'm freaked. And I never really questioned my own mind about this. Did I see it? No, I saw what I saw, and that's that. So we bring everybody in. Lights are turned on. Lights were left on all night, and we go to bed. The next day, the landlord shows up, and he was an Asian guy. That's what I remember. I was in my 20s, so I was probably 25 at the time, and I'm guessing this guy is in his 60s. And he shows up to do whatever. He's the landlord, and we tell the story. Now, I kind of remember the sequence of events was I went up and I looked in the back window of the house, the front house, and I looked in and I looked through, and the house is empty. And I remember these wood floors, and I could see through the back door of the house, and there was a black spot on the living room floor. And I couldn't tell if it was a shadow or whatever, but I saw it. Anyway, so and then the landlord shows up, and we're all in the front driveway talking about this event from the night before. And the landlord shows up, and we tell him, and I think I saw a ghost. There was somebody in the house, but we went in, everything was locked, there was nobody in there. And then the landlord tells us that he hasn't rented the house in front because his son had committed suicide the year before, lighting himself on fire in the living room. And all of us just kind of stepped back and thought to ourselves, wait a minute, and here Christina is living in this back house. I didn't live with her. She lived there alone with her roommate. And that's the story. That's it. I don't think, and again, this is 35 years ago. This is 1988. I don't think I went back. The whole story kind of creeped me out. Years later, it was like 2 years later, in front of, I went to this apartment on Bronson and up on the top floor, and I was there, and I remember looking out the window at the Church of Scientology, and they were having a party. There was limousines, and there was an orchestra out on the lawn, and I was watching this go down, and people going through the gates and getting out of the limousines and pictures and things, and I'm watching that go on, and I looked, and I went, that's the house with the ghost, right? And I'm looking down on top of it from this apartment. And there's a famous liquor store there, and it was behind that, and the whole thing came flooding back. And I was looking at the roof of the back house, and I could see the other house there, but I never went back. It was a freaky thing, and I'm just going to leave it right there. There it is. It's Halloween. I just shared my ghost story. And I still, to this day, I think back at all of that and wonder what it was that I saw. Who was it? Was it the landlord's son? I don't know. There was one other part to the story. When we were in the house, this is later on. Everybody is back in. We cleared the house, and I had this little moment to myself, and I went up to the window, and I just looked at it, and I pulled the curtains back, and I looked at my car, and physically knowing what it took to move the curtains back and pull this back and trying to debunk, no, whatever it was, pulled the curtains back and looked at me. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't some anomaly. It wasn't any of that. No, I literally pulled it back and looked right at my car. And that's when the chill went down. That was the closer for me. So there you go. There's my ghost story. Yeah, man, Brian, that's a fun. That was probably going down in 1988. That GIF right there. Okay, how about telling the story about you finding the perfect house? I've told that story so many times, and I was recently back in Indianapolis and told that story with the friends that were there. Yeah, it was a couple of months ago. Okay, let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling? You're live.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yes.
Jimmy, it's the Bill again.
It's the Bill again? Oh, hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right, man. Great story, by the way.
The true stories, the real stories are the best ones.
Absolutely. Hey, I wanted to tell you, I listened to the Campfire and the Jim Harold's, stories and stuff all the time. So big fan. Love to hear you guys talking about it. Wanted to tell you stories about stuff that has happened to me over and over and over and over and over all my life. Crazy things flying off, shelves and things. It just freaked me out.
So, do you have a ghost story?
I wish I did, man.
Well, if stuff is flying off the shelves, what was going on?
Well, I just sat down. I had the mail. Stuff come flying off the shelf, broke right in front of my face. Like, man, that's craziness.
But what was it, Bill?
Well, what it was you remember back in the 70s, they had the things that you would make out of wood with your name, right?
I do. Yes,
like
right.
Joe. Yeah. And I was sitting down and this thing just come flying off the shelf, landed in front of my feet and broke right in front of me. What the hell was that?
I have, well, aside from the shoes that are falling down in my closet as I speak right now, and I'm almost dreading, going upstairs and walking in to see what else is new. But I haven't seen the shoes fall. But I have
seen them.
I don't think I've ever had anything fly around the room on me. Not yet. I did have one thing that happened. I've told the story before on the show, but this was about probably 5 or 6 years ago, and Rita and I were in our room. And at the time, the furniture was arranged different ways over the years. But at this particular time, our bed was facing the room long ways, and the bathroom door was at the foot of our bed, a little bit off to the left, but there. And so inside of the bathroom, once you enter the bathroom, to the left, right there, was the commode, the John room, and that had its own door on it. But the toilet was in there by itself. But that particular toilet had a toilet lid, a seat that was it didn't move on its own. You had to physically and move it up and push it back down. It wouldn't. It was tight and squeaky, and it was a very manual operation that went on with that toilet seat and toilet lid. And so anyway, one night we're sitting there, and that toilet seat fell down on its own. Bam. And I knew, this is the thing. I knew what I would have to go through to move that toilet lid. It was effort. And to have that fall down on its own, I didn't want to get up and go look. I didn't want to see it down. I didn't want to see it up. I didn't want to see, I didn't want to know. I didn't want to know. I let it go. And there was no way that I was going to get up and get out of bed and go in there and freak myself out. And to see that the toilet seat up or down in either position, whatever it was, I didn't want to see it because I knew what was involved with that thing coming up and down. I wanted nothing to do with it, Bill. Nothing at all. Listen,
I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what, I desperately want to see something from my wife. Died on August 7th, 2021, and I've seen nothing.
Well, my mom, who passed away 4 years ago, right before showtime one night, and And I've told this audience a lot about my mom and how cool she was. And I thought to myself, Bill, that if anybody was going to come back and say hello to me, and who would do it, it would be my mom. And I wanted to go through those experiences that so many people talk about when a loved one passed away. Wife, girlfriend, mom, dad, brother, sister. The visitation that comes back. I wanted to enjoy that. Well, it's been 4 years, and I'm still waiting.
Nothing's happened yet.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. It's going to happen at one point, and there's going to be something that happens, and my mom letting me know that she's thinking of me. I'm still waiting for it. I was hoping, Bill, that it was going to happen that week, and then a month goes by, and I've told everybody nothing yet, but I'll let everybody know. So you just got to be patient, Bill. But I think it's like this: when you least expect it, bam, there you go.
Exactly. Thank you, Jimmy. Have a great night, man.
You too, Bill. Thank you so much, my friend, and enjoy your Halloween. And with that will wrap another Halloween Ghost Stories night. And this year is with Jim Harold. I want to thank Jim for coming in tonight. Very busy schedule, but it was a great night. I had a great time. There you go. And then tomorrow night, of course, is Shaw the Loon Witch. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Now, tomorrow night's going to be a busy night on the phones. And I say it every year. I'm going to have 20, 30 people on hold. If you get a busy signal, call back. If you get on the phone, stay in line. Don't hang up, because you're going to go back of the line. All right? So tomorrow night, Shaw the Loon Witch, our 8th annual Halloween special with Shaw. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is only copyrighted 2021 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, Shaw the Loon Witch. Until then, I want everybody to be safe. It's time to fade to black.